Chosen one, slow down, take a breath before you go any further. This moment was not random, and this message did not arrive by accident. Out of all the noise, all the distractions, all the paths you could have taken right now, you are here, and heaven is very intentional. This is not a threat. It is a warning wrapped in mercy, delivered with precision, because God knows exactly where you are standing between light and shadow. You've been carrying more than you ever let anyone see, smiling when you're exhausted, showing up when you're spiritually drained, fighting battles no one clapped for. And chosen one, before we go deeper, pause for a moment, hit subscribe, and comment, Aman, if your spirit is already responding, because this message is about to speak directly to you in ways you didn't expect. There has been confusion lately, hasn't there? A strange fog around your purpose. You know you're called, but the clarity feels delayed. You feel watched in the spirit, tested, investigated, pressed from angles you can't explain. What you didn't realize is that every unseen battle you survived was evidence, not punishment. Heaven was watching closely, measuring your endurance, counting your obedience in silence. Chosen one, God saw the moment you didn't speak out loud, the night you questioned yourself, the second you almost gave up, not because you stopped believing, but because you were tired of bleeding quietly. And that is exactly why he intervened now. Not later, not one day, now. Because what was about to break next was too important to lose. This restoration you're entering is not cosmetic. God isn't patching wounds, he's rebuilding foundations, adjusting alignment, reclaiming pieces of you that were slowly being drained by delay, misunderstanding, and spiritual resistance. What felt like abandonment was actually protection. What felt like silence was investigation. Heaven was making sure you were ready to carry what's coming without collapsing under its weight. So be careful, chosen one, not because danger is ahead, but because favor is. When God restores you before it's too late, it means something big was approaching. Stay with me. A hidden truth is about to surface, and once you see it, everything will make sense. Chosen one, there was a moment you didn't fully recognize at the time. A quiet, dangerous edge you were standing on. You told yourself you were fine. You kept moving, kept producing, kept believing you could carry just a little more weight, but heaven saw the truth. You were closer to exhaustion than you realized, closer to collapse than you would ever admit out loud. And that is exactly why God intervened when he did. God did not wait for you to fall apart publicly. He did not wait for the tears to finally spill or for your strength to give out completely. He stepped in early. This was not recovery, it was prevention. A divine interruption designed to stop a breakdown before it ever reached the surface. Have you noticed how things suddenly slowed down? How doors paused, plans shifted, energy dropped, or people moved out of alignment? That wasn't punishment, that was protection. Chosen one, God knows the difference between stretching you and draining you. And lately what you were carrying was no longer producing growth. It was consuming you. Your spirit was still willing, but your soul was tired. You were running on obedience instead of renewal. So God in his mercy said, enough. Enough pressure, enough silent suffering, enough strength poured out with no refilling. Think about this for a moment. What if the delay you've been frustrated by was actually a rescue? What if the slowdown was heaven stepping between you and a collapse that would have cost you more than you realize? God saw what you couldn't see clearly from inside the storm. He saw the cracks forming beneath the surface. And because your calling is too important, he refused to let you shatter just to prove your endurance. This restoration season is not about fixing what's already broken. It's about reinforcing what was weakening quietly. God is restoring your nervous system, your discernment, your emotional balance, your spiritual sensitivity. He is teaching you how to rest without guilt, how to pause without fear, how to breathe without feeling like you're falling behind. Can you feel that shift already? That subtle release where your soul finally exhales? Chosen one, collapse was never part of your assignment. Burning out was not proof of faithfulness. God never asked you to destroy yourself to fulfill purpose. So he stepped in early, gently but firmly, to remind you that you are human and still chosen, still called, still protected. This intervention is love in action. And here's the deeper truth. What God is preserving now is something He intends to use powerfully later. You're being stabilized because impact is ahead, strengthened because responsibility is coming, restored because what's next requires clarity, not survival mode. So don't rush this moment. Don't resist the pause. Ask yourself, what is God saving me from right now? Stay with this. Let it settle, because this early intervention is not a setback, it's a divine safeguard. And what God protects this fiercely is always something destined to carry great weight and great light. Chosen one, when God says be careful, He is not trying to frighten you. He is trying to awaken you. This is not a message of panic or threat. It is a call to awareness, a loving instruction to slow your pace, lift your eyes, and finally notice what your spirit has been whispering while your mind kept pushing forward. Fear rushes you, wisdom steadies you, and God always speaks from wisdom. For a long time, you learned how to override your own signals. You felt the tension in your chest but told yourself to keep going. You sensed the heaviness in your spirit but convinced yourself it was normal. You ignored the fatigue because stopping felt risky, like something might fall apart if you did. But chosen one, what if stopping was never the danger? What if ignoring those signals was? Be careful is God inviting you into discernment. He is asking you to observe patterns, not just problems. To notice how certain environments drain you, how certain conversations disturb your peace, how certain expectations quietly pull you away from alignment. Have you felt that inner resistance lately? That subtle discomfort when something looks right on the surface but feels wrong deep inside? That is not weakness. That is awareness awakening. God is teaching you to move with intention instead of impulse, to pause before reacting, to listen before deciding. Awareness is how heaven protects you without force. Fear shouts. Awareness whispers. And if you've been feeling drawn to slow down, reflect, or withdraw just a little, that is not retreat. It is recalibration. Can you sense how your spirit has been asking for space to breathe? Chosen one, your body and your spirit have been communicating long before your mind was ready to listen. The exhaustion, the restlessness, the sudden need for silence, these were not random symptoms. They were messages, and God in His mercy is saying, don't ignore them anymore. Awareness will keep you from repeating cycles you've already outgrown. This warning is gentle, but it is serious. Not because danger is chasing you, but because growth is approaching. When something precious is about to be entrusted to you, God sharpens your awareness first. He trains you to notice before you move, to feel before you decide, to listen before you act. What if this season isn't about doing more, but about seeing more clearly? So be careful, chosen one. Not afraid, not tense, just present, just awake. Let your pace match your purpose. Let your awareness protect your peace. Because the more conscious you become now, the safer and stronger you will be when the next door opens. Chosen one, there is a reason your spirit has felt heavy even when nothing obvious was wrong. The weight you've been carrying did not arrive all at once. It accumulated quietly, layer by layer, responsibility by responsibility, expectation by expectation. You told yourself it was normal. You convinced yourself that being strong meant holding everything together. But strength was never meant to feel this exhausting. Some of what you carried was placed on you by others. Some of it came from unspoken obligations, from being the reliable one, the understanding one, the one who absorbs the pressure so no one else has to. And some of it came from your own heart, your desire to protect, to fix, to prevent disappointment. But chosen one, did you ever stop to ask which of these burdens God actually assigned to you? He watched as you shouldered emotional weight that was never yours to manage. You carried other people's pain as if it were your responsibility to heal it. You carried expectations that God never spoke. You carried outcomes that were never under your control. And over time, that invisible weight began to drain your joy, dull your clarity, and slow your spirit. Not because you were weak, but because you were never meant to carry it alone. This is where restoration begins, not by adding strength, but by removing excess. God is not asking you to endure more. He is asking you to release, to loosen your grip on what you've been holding out of habit, fear, or misplaced loyalty. Have you noticed how certain worries keep replaying in your mind? How certain responsibilities feel heavier than they should? Those are not signs of failure. They are invitations to let go. Chosen one, release is not abandonment. It is alignment. When God removes weight from you, He is not taking something away. He is giving you yourself back. Space to breathe, room to feel, energy to hear His voice clearly again. The heaviness lifting now is not because circumstances suddenly changed, but because heaven is shifting the load. You may feel guilt when you start setting boundaries. You may feel uncomfortable when you stop carrying what once defined you. But remember this, Jesus Himself did not carry what He was never assigned. He walked in obedience, not overextension, and you are being taught the same holy balance. What if peace is found not in doing everything, but in doing only what God asked? So allow the release. Let expectations fall. Let responsibilities be reordered. Let emotional burdens return to where they belong. God is restoring you by lightening your load, because what's ahead requires freedom, not fatigue. Stay present in this moment. Something sacred is happening as the weight finally lifts. Chosen one, not every miracle arrives with thunder. Some of the most powerful restorations begin so quietly that you don't recognize them at first. God does not always announce healing with signs and noise. Sometimes He moves in silence, like light slowly filling a room before your eyes adjust. And if you've been waiting for a dramatic moment to confirm that change has begun, you may have missed the truth. Restoration is already happening. Think back over the last few days or weeks. Have you noticed subtle shifts? A little more energy in the morning, a clearer thought where confusion once lived, a calm response where anxiety used to rise. These are not coincidences. They are signals. God restores from the inside out, starting with what sustains you, not what impresses others. He repairs your inner world before He alters your external circumstances. Chosen one, loud miracles draw attention, but quiet ones build stability. God is strengthening your nervous system, settling your emotions, and sharpening your discernment without announcing it. You're not being rushed or forced into change. You're being gently realigned. And that's why it feels peaceful instead of overwhelming. Have you felt that strange sense of calm lately? Like something is different, even though nothing dramatic has happened yet? Restoration often feels ordinary while it's happening. You sleep a little deeper. You breathe a little easier. You stop replaying certain worries. You no longer feel the urge to explain yourself to everyone. These are holy signs. God is healing you in a way that won't need repair later. He is teaching your spirit what safety feels like again. Chosen one, this quiet restoration is intentional. If God healed everything loudly all at once, you might rush back into the same patterns that drained you before. So He moves gently, patiently, allowing you to grow accustomed to peace, allowing clarity to return without shock, allowing strength to rebuild without strain. What if the stillness you're feeling is not emptiness, but preparation? You don't need to force progress. You don't need to prove anything. God is already working beneath the surface. The calm you're experiencing is not a pause in your journey. It is the evidence that healing is taking root. Trust what is unfolding, even if it doesn't look dramatic yet. Stay present, chosen one. Let the quiet do its work. Because when God restores you silently, it means the results will last. And when the next season arrives, you'll step into it whole, steady, and ready. Chosen one, this moment is not optional. It may feel gentle on the surface, but it carries serious weight in the spirit. Ignoring what God is doing right now would cost you more than time. It would cost you strength, clarity, and pieces of yourself that are meant for your future, not for burnout. God intervened because the path you were on, if continued unchanged, would eventually lead to deeper damage you could not see yet. You were surviving on momentum, not renewal. Pushing forward because stopping felt unsafe. Telling yourself you'd rest later, reflect later, heal later. But later was becoming dangerous. God saw what prolonged strain would do to your spirit, your body, your discernment. He saw the slow erosion that happens when endurance replaces wisdom. And because he loves you too much to let you self-destruct quietly, he called a pause. This pause is not delay, it is protection. Protection from bitterness forming where joy should live. Protection from confusion replacing discernment. Protection from exhaustion dulling your ability to hear his voice. Have you noticed how continuing at the same pace no longer felt productive? Only draining? That was not weakness. That was warning. Chosen one, future strength is built by honoring present limits. God is guarding the version of you that must stand strong later. The one who will lead, influence, build, and carry responsibility without breaking. If you ignore this moment, if you rush past it, numb it, or override it, you risk arriving at the next season depleted instead of prepared. And God refuses to let your calling inherit damage. This is why the slowdown feels firm. This is why the discomfort of pausing feels unavoidable. God is saying, if I don't stop you here, you'll hurt yourself trying to be faithful. And faithfulness was never meant to require self-destruction. What if obedience right now looks like listening instead of striving? What if honoring this pause is the bravest thing you can do? Chosen one, every major calling requires seasons of restraint. Moments where God says, not yet, rest first. Because unchecked momentum can destroy what discipline preserves. This pause is sharpening you, not sidelining you. It is restoring your capacity so your future doesn't collapse under its own weight. So don't rush past this moment. Don't minimize it. Don't talk yourself out of what your spirit already knows. God stepped in because something precious is ahead, and he is determined that you arrive there whole. Stay here. Receive this protection. Your future strength depends on what you honor right now. Chosen one, what you are experiencing right now is not an ending. It is a safeguarding. God does not preserve what is finished. He preserves what is still required, what still carries assignment, what still has purpose written into its future. This season of restoration is not about closing a chapter. It is about strengthening the pages that are about to be written next. You may have felt pulled back recently, as if momentum slowed or visibility dimmed. But this is not withdrawal, it is divine protection. God steps in before weariness becomes damage, before confusion becomes compromise. He is preserving you because what comes next will require clarity, stamina, and spiritual depth. Have you noticed how your priorities are shifting, how distractions are losing their grip? That is preparation at work. Chosen one, God never wastes resources, and he never repairs what he intends to discard. The fact that he is restoring you, emotionally, spiritually, even physically, is proof that your role is not over. There is still impact ahead, still influence, still responsibility that cannot be carried by a depleted vessel. God is guarding your capacity so that when the next door opens, you can walk through it whole. This preservation may feel restrictive at times. You may want to rush forward to prove you're ready, to return to movement. But God is saying, let me finish strengthening you. What you are being prepared for cannot be handled with survival energy. It requires overflow. It requires discernment sharpened by rest, not dulled by exhaustion. Can you trust that this waiting is purposeful? Chosen one, think about what is protected carefully. Seeds before planting, wine before serving, gold before display. Preservation always precedes release. God is insulating you from unnecessary battles, limiting exposure, quieting noise, not to hide you, but to ready you. This is not isolation. This is refinement. You are still needed. Needed to speak when the time is right. Needed to stand when others waver. Needed to carry light without burning out. And because of that, God is restoring you now. Privately, thoroughly, intentionally. He is ensuring that your future strength exceeds your past endurance. So don't misread this season. This is not a setback. It is divine care. God is preserving you because what comes next matters. And so do you. Stay receptive. Stay patient. The preparation you honor now will empower everything you step into later.